What is up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Ninja here with Gav from the Odd Shark team. We're going to be joined by Chris Walder in a bit to talk a little NBA. And here to talk NHL, and I want to dig into a little bit of PGA as well. Editor over at Fansided and BetSided and the host of the Essential Bacon Bets podcast. It is Iain MacMillan. Iain, thanks for joining us on this very fine Tuesday, my friend.
Thank you for having me on, Ninja. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you again, too, buddy. Don't look now, guys, but the Hurricanes are coming. We talked about it yesterday. A Game 5 win could be everything for the Hurricanes, with that series pivoting back to Carolina for Game 6. Can they do it, Gav?
I mean, I don't know. I hope so. As a hockey fan, I want to at least see 7 games, but like a 3-0 series deficit, like that's happened, 4 times? Last time was 2014 with the Kings, I believe, then 2010 with the Flyers, and then it goes all the way back to the 70s, and then, the Toronto Maple Leafs in like 1942. So slim odds, but, I would love to see it, especially because of how much I hated on the Rangers earlier.
Yeah, you did. You were slandering them left, right, and center. What about you, Iain? Any thoughts on that series? Like, are the Canes worth a sprinkle in series price markets here?
I think I would bet. I would have bet if I was going to bet on the Hurricanes in terms of winning the series. I think it's too late. I think you take that shot when they're down 0-3 or even 1-3. But I do think they can do it. I think if any team can do it, it's the Carolina Hurricanes. I still believe the Carolina Hurricanes are the best team in the NHL. I mean, you lose 2 overtime games to all of a sudden fall in this hole. And when you look at some of the, advanced metrics, the Hurricanes have been actually the better team statistically. Obviously, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, getting the win. But statistically, they have been the better team against the Rangers. And now after winning these 2 straight games, especially with how dominant they looked in the third period of the last game, and now with it going back to Carolina, I mean, the pressure on the Rangers is only, the pressure on the shoulder is only going to get heavier as the series goes on. So I certainly think they can do it. Would I bet on them now for their series price? Probably not. I think I'll probably just handle it game by game. But yeah, it would not surprise me at all if they come back and complete this, 7-game series with a win.
Let us know your thoughts on the Canes' chances in the chat. Let us know your picks for tonight's NHL and NBA games, of course. If you got anything good, if you've got any questions, fire that off in the chat. The Colorado Avalanche are melting, guys. And now Nichushkin is suspended. Are the Avs toast, IMAC?
Nichushkin going down kind of really hurts them. The Stars team is just so good everywhere. Also, the Avalanche are just not getting good enough goaltending from Georgiev either. I mean, if they had a top-tier elite goaltender that could, drag them through this series, then I could see it. But, I mean, I think they're just too short-handed. They can't just do it just on the shoulders of McKinnon and Cale Makar. So, I think it's over. I mean, who knows? It's a team that just won a Stanley Cup a couple of years ago. They could come back, but last night was probably the end of the Avalanche. The Stars overall, even in the regular season, the Stars were the better team. And now with the Avs being shorthanded, it's all but over.
Big blow to the Avs with Nichushkin, Gav. That's a cocaine pun.
Man, like I know there's like mental things involved and like things are bigger in the sport, but like same situation last year. Like you got caught in a hotel room. I don't know exactly what, but like just clearly issues going on there. And it sucks, man. You got to feel a little bit for Avs fans just because he is a massive piece of their team. Like you saw how dominant he's been. He was dominant in their cup run. Another big thing too is Devin Taves. Like, I'm not really sure what's happening with him. Like he didn't play last night. So kind of just all the dominoes fell right on them last night. But at this point, without Nichushkin and then maybe without Taves, like I think they're kind of dead. And like Dallas, all the credit to them. Like they've been doing such a good job at limiting Colorado on the rush. Colorado generates a ton of their offense off the rush, with their speed with McKinnon. And they've just been shutting them down. They always have a forward high. Just not giving them anything. So yeah, like without Taves and Nichushkin, like I think it might be it.
Hey man, we've been on it for a while. I believe you tweeted about him last night, IMAC, but Wyatt Johnston just playing out of his absolute mind and continued to do so last night. Let's get into tonight's games here, fellas. We'll start Bruins at Panthers here. Of course, it is Florida 3-1, Game 5. We've got the Bruins at plus 173. The Panthers at minus 205. Total 5.5 under minus 112, over minus 108. No Brad Marchand. Bobrov continues to be amazing. Panthers have now won 3 straight and can finish things off tonight, of course. Maybe the best team in hockey right now. Surely this is Panthers only from a betting perspective. Parlay leg or multi-units on the money line or something. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I sure hope so. Listen, I don't like betting puck lines, especially in the playoffs, but I'm gonna bet puck line tonight, because even if you look at the advanced numbers in this series, the Panthers have completely dominated the Bruins. It's the only thing that has, pulled me out of the depression that the Toronto Maple Leafs put me in, has been how good the Florida Panthers have looked. Because I even thought if the Maple Leafs got past the Bruins, we weren't going to get past the Bruins. And the series has been kind of proof of that. Corsi percentage, 63.47, best mark in the second round of the playoffs here. Expected goals percentage, best mark in the NHL here in the second round. Actual goals, expected goals, high danger scoring chances. This has been a completely one-sided series, and the only hope the Bruins had was Jeremy Swayman standing on his head, and he hasn't. He's kind of come back down to earth after a first-round series against the Maple Leafs. And to be honest, I'm done with kind of giving the excuse to the Leafs that they get goalied. I just don't think they create good offensive opportunities. And I think what happens is they make opposing goalies in the playoffs look better than what they actually are. And I think maybe we saw that a little bit with Swayman in the first round. So I'm all in on the Panthers. I hope and think and will be betting on them to get the job done tonight. And just because I needed some plus money, of course, I took the puck line. But the Bruins are hopefully going to have to pull the goalie late in the game, or with, still a couple minutes left, should be plenty of chances for an empty net goal. So as long as this doesn't go into overtime, I'm feeling pretty good about the Panthers.
Yeah, I love that. Like, Ian pretty much covered everything I had written down. Like, happy Bruins elimination day does make me feel a little bit better, but also it's kind of sad just knowing the Leafs are really that far away, because agreed, like, they would have had no chance against this Panthers team. I also don't mind the under tonight, just because of that huge disparity in all those advanced stats. It's like, yeah, Boston's been squeaking a few in. And, in an elimination game, I expect Swayman to be a bit better. And with no Marchand, like, I'm not worried about Boston scoring really anything tonight. So I think under 5.5 is a decent look. One note, like, I wouldn't play this, but Barkov has 11 points in his last 5 games, 8 in his last 4 in this series. So something to keep an eye on there. Like, I don't know if I'd play the over 1.5, but over half a point, it's minus 200, maybe a lay piece, but just something to watch out for.
What did you have last game on the prop side of things? Verhaeghe something?
Yeah. I had Verhaeghe shots, didn't hit. I had a note that left wingers against the Bruins in these playoffs have been like 17 for 21, and that was including like Nick Robertson, Bertuzzi. He hit it the one game I didn't bet it, and then he didn't hit last game. So maybe it's worth going at it again. Same price, plus 314 or 114, sorry. And he still had 7 attempts last game. So honestly, still a decent look tonight.
What's up, Kelsey? Let us know your favorite bets there in the chat. We'll continue on here on the ice. I mean, good Lord, man, this series, Canucks, Oilers, Vancouver leads 2-1. We've got Vancouver plus 170 on the road. Oilers coming back at minus 200 on home ice, of course. Total is 6.5, over minus 105, under minus 150. And I have zero clue what's going on in this series, to be perfectly frank with you. Like, the Canucks actually have a chance to go up 3-1 in this series, and they are riding a dude that played 4 games in the regular season. At the other end, Stu Skinner, of course, been dreadful. In counting the regular season, the Canucks are 6-1 against the Oilers. That's pretty impressive and probably living rent-free in Edmonton's heads. What's the play here tonight out west?
I don't know why I didn't just bet on this every single game, so I'm just going to do it again tonight, and that's just the over, because the over is hitting every single game in this series. It seems obvious in hindsight because you have the Oilers, arguably the best offensive team in the NHL in terms of creating scoring opportunities, and then you have the Canucks, who for the majority of the season, especially in the first half of the season when they were red hot, couldn't miss. And that's the version of the Canucks that has shown up in this series. If you look at their shooting percentage, they've scored on almost 20% of their shots on goal in this series, which is bananas. Calvin Pickard is starting for the Oilers tonight. It's not going to be Stuart Skinner. But am I now going to bet on the Oilers or bet on the under because Calvin Pickard's in net? Absolutely not. So I'm just going to bank on a lot of goals again. I think it's the only thing to really do in this game. Once again, Oilers, offensive juggernaut. Canucks arguably the best shooting team in the NHL, even though the Canucks goalie Artur Silovs, is that how you pronounce it? I know he's played well in this series and these playoffs. I still don't trust him. He's going to come crashing back down to earth at some point. I'm just going to bank on goals in this one.
Silovs, that's Tony's boy. Gav, what do you like in here?
I'm loving it. Ian's just kind of doing all my work for me. I have pretty much all the exact same things written down. Like, why would you not bet this over right now? And with Calvin Pickard, he's never even started a playoff game, and he's 32 years old. Had marginally better numbers than Stuart Skinner, but like played less games. So obviously that sample size is skewed. But since Ian covered on that, I'm going to be on the over as well. I think Evander Kane over 2.5 shots on goal at -125 is a pretty good bet tonight. He's going to be playing back on the second line with Draisaitl. Without Draisaitl in this series, he hasn't covered this line at all yet. But in the last series against the Kings, he covered it in 4 of 5, averaging 7 shot attempts. And he was only averaging 4 shot attempts without Draisaitl. So they really need this depth to get going. They cannot afford to be playing Draisaitl, Hyman, and McDavid 29 minutes a game like they did last game. So Kane's going to need to step up. I'm pretty sure he's going to be more engaged tonight too, just because of how things got out of hand last game with McDavid. So yeah, I think it's a really good look here. Obviously plays well with Draisaitl, has good advanced numbers well. So -125 over 2.5. I love that price.
Let's talk a little PGA here, Iain Mac, and we'll get you on your way. On a scale of 1 to 10, how pumped are you for the PGA Championship?
I would say 8.3. The downside is, to be just completely honest, of the 4 majors, I think the PGA Championship is the one I care about the least. I mean, the Masters is legendary because it's at Augusta, and then you have the U.S. Open, so the country's open kind of storyline there. Then the Open Championship, which is of course like Europe's and Britain's kind of open. This one just doesn't really have the history tied to it that the other 3 do. But if you're just talking about storylines for a specific tournament, I mean, you got to be looking forward to this one. Also, by the way, Valhalla, the golf course, doesn't really excite me that much either. But I mean, you got Rory McIlroy, who's coming off 2 wins. His last major win was 10 years ago at this course. Filed for divorce this morning out of the blue, which is crazy to see. Then you have Brooks Koepka, the defending champion. He's won the PGA Championship 3 times. Then you have Scotty Scheffler, who has won 4 of his last 5 events. And the one that he didn't win, he finished T2 because he missed a short putt that would have forced a playoff. He just had his first kid. And then you have Jordan Spieth trying to complete the Grand Slam, even though he's been in terrible form lately. There are just storylines galore, especially around the best contenders and best golfers this week. I don't remember a major that has had this many individual storylines on individual golfers heading into it. So for that reason, I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I want to start right there with the absolute man on the tour right now. Are we at the point where we just have to bet Scotty Scheffler futures? He's plus 450 to win this weekend. Like, is it an auto bet at this point with this guy?
In a normal situation, I would say yes at this point, but there's 2 things that I'm a little bit concerned about. One is obviously the birth of his child. I mean, there's no way that he has had as much practice as he normally would have. I mean, he hasn't played now in a few weeks. Is he a little bit sleep deprived? Maybe. I mean, sometimes that can work in a golfer's favor. I don't think it's going to work in his favor. And the other thing that we have to take into consideration is he's not going to have his caddy on Saturday. Ted Scott, his caddy, just announced that he's going to go to his son's high school graduation. I think it is Friday night. So Scotty Scheffler is going to have a random guy on his bag on Saturday, which, I mean, yeah, that's probably not going to have a huge impact. But when we're talking about a major championship with the best golfers in the world, including live golfers, I mean, not having your caddy might be worth 1 stroke, and that 1 stroke might be enough for you not to win. So at his price, I'm just going to stay away from Scotty Scheffler. If you don't want to get burnt by not betting on him, sportsbooks have the winner without Scotty Scheffler market wildly available. You could consider betting on that instead. I'm not. I might live to regret it. But yeah, just generally, I think I'm going to stay away from Scotty because it's got to be tough to come and try to compete at a major right after your birth of a child. What, 6 days ago? I think it was.
If Scotty's plus 450 at the top of the odds board, if he gave birth to his child and was sleep deprived for 5 nights, 5 days, what would his odds be? He'd still be on top of the odds board, though.
Yeah, 6-1.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about Valhalla, the course this year. What are you looking for, Iain, in a golfer to be able to conquer this course? Like, what are some of the statistics profile you want in a golfer before you're making a futures bet?
Yeah, it's basically long. You need someone who's going to be relatively long off the tee. I mean, it's a very easy comparison to last week's Quail Hollow, where they played the Wells Fargo Championship. It's long off the tee, and it's the third smallest greens on the PGA Tour schedule as well. So because it's small greens and a lot of the approach shots are going to be long, golfers are going to be missing the greens at a higher rate than normal, which means you got to have a higher scrambling percentage too. So guys who can chip, guys who can play well around the greens. This is not going to be an event where golfers are just going to hit every single green and it turns into a putting contest. It's going to be the complete opposite of that. So if there's two things I would narrow in on, it'd be you have to be at least relatively long off the tee, and you have to be able to chip and get up and down to save par. And I do just want to shout out Kelsey in the chat. It said, did you say random guy on his bag? Yeah. On Saturday, random guy on his bag. I think his name's Brad, I think is what we've learned about this random guy that will be on his bag.
Bagman Brad. That's worth a stroke. Last time, you already mentioned this, IMAC. Last time at Valhalla 10 years ago, 2014, Rory won it back then, like you said. He's plus 750 and fresh off the divorce. Again, footloose and fancy free, Rory. So we'll see how that pans out for him. Brooks and Xander are 14-1. Oberg is there at plus 2,200. Are you making any futures bets?
Yes, and I will say actually about Rory, if you wanted to go a little back 10 years ago, in May of 2014, he broke up with Caroline Wozniacki, which I don't even remember them dating. I was in a drunken blur during that year at college. But I mean, I just looked in this today. He was dating Caroline Wozniacki and broke up with her 3 days after sending out the wedding invites. And then Rory McIlroy went on to win 2 majors that year, with one of them being the PGA Championship at Valhalla. So maybe the fact that he's getting a divorce is going to work in his favor for some reason. If you go back and point to that 2014, I wish they stayed together. What a power couple Caroline Wozniacki and Rory McIlroy was. How did I not know that existed? It's a shame. Maybe he should give her a call. Maybe they should get back together.
Ninja, this is crazy. I feel like everything is aligning for us to bet Rory.
Right.
Like
I know you want to, dude. You've been talking about it for a couple weeks now.
Well, because Ian, I did this video for the Masters about like stats over the last 10 years that make golfers like eligible to win technically, and it seems like everything is aligning to Rory again. And one of the crazy things I found too this year is when Rory won the 2014 PGA Championship, he was coming off 2 back-to-back event wins in his 2 prior starts, so the Open and then the WGC Bridgestone. So exact thing again, and I didn't even know that the breakup angle, so might be a max play.
That strokes gained breakup, he is leading the PGA Tour in that stat. So I got 2 outright bets I can touch on really quick. I got one close to the top of the leaderboard, and I have a complete long shot off the board. You want me to
love it?
Do you want both really quick?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone who knows me and my golf betting habits, the first one's obvious. Xander Schauffele. I've bet on this man more than anyone else on the planet. He's broken my heart more than anyone else on the planet. But once again, I will be betting on him because I can't because he is. I know he hasn't had a win lately, but he is playing the best golf of his career, including last week at the Wells Fargo. And his style of play fits this course to perfection. He's long off the tee. He's a great scrambler of the golf ball. He's second on the tour in bogey avoidance behind only Scotty Scheffler. He's second in total strokes gained behind only Scotty Scheffler. In the past 100 rounds on the PGA Tour, it is Xander Schauffele who's second in just about every single stat, right behind Scotty Scheffler, ahead of Rory McIlroy. So as soon as I don't bet him at a major, it's going to be the time that he's going to win one. So I refuse to miss out on that. So I will be betting on Xander Schauffele. And then I have a long shot here for you. And I wrote about this over on fansided.com/betsided. It is a 150-1 bet. One that reminds me a lot of when I took Brian Harman at 120-1 last year to win the Open. This is a guy who I talk about total strokes gained, which just gives an overall view of how well a golfer is playing this season. The top 4 guys on the PGA Tour this year: Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, Wyndham Clark. Those all make sense if you've been watching any golf. The 5th name on that list is 150-1 to win this week. It is Alex Noren. The Swede, 41 years old. He is having an unbelievable year. He hasn't won yet. But like I said, 5th in overall total strokes gained, 6th in strokes gained around the greens. He leads the PGA Tour in scrambling, which I already said is going to be huge this week because of how small the greens are. And he does a great job of getting it up and down and saving par. Better than anyone else on tour, better than Scotty Scheffler in scrambling percentage. He is number 1. Now, the knock against him this week is that he's not long off the tee, which is going to hurt him a little bit at Valhalla. But last time the PGA Championship was at Valhalla, we saw some other short hitters finish in the top 10. I think Steve Stricker was one of them, finish in the top 10, I think. Don't quote me on that. But you can play well if you're a short hitter, but that would be the one knock against Noren. But everything else, if you're talking about a value bet, 151, or you can bet him like top 20 at like plus 320, you're getting the guy who has statistically been the 5th best golfer on the PGA Tour this year. I think you have to bet on Alex Noren in some capacity this week. He's finished in the top 25 7 straight starts.
Great candidate further down the odds board there. 150 to 1. Absolutely love that. Gav, are you going to hammer that or what?
I'm definitely going to sprinkle it. I was just thinking while Ian was saying that now that he put that name in your head, you're going to be live betting his live score results.
100%, dude. Sunday at the Masters, I was betting whole outcome like for the back 9, dude. Like it was cracked for me. Any other bets you're cooking up here real quick? I mean, I assume you've got a ton of bet slips already. Anything cooked up matchup wise or anything specifically for like day 1 here?
I haven't locked in my day 1 bets. There's a matchup bet for the tournament that came to my attention here recently that I got to hammer. You might have to look it around at a couple different sports books to find it, but there is out there a price to bet on Tyrrell Hatton minus 130 to beat Jordan Spieth, which is one of the greatest golf bets I've ever heard. Jordan Spieth stinks right now. Missed the cut at the Masters, T39 at RBC Heritage. Missed the cut of the CJ Cup with one of the worst fields I've ever seen, T29 last week at Wells Fargo. His approach play numbers are terrible. And then he's matched up for this bet against Tyrrell Hatton, who has quietly been playing fantastic golf all season long. Guy who finished T9 at the Masters just last month. Minus 130 on Hatton to beat Jordan. Jordan Spieth's probably not even going to make the cut. This bet might be won by the time the second round is over if Tyrrell Hatton makes the cut and Jordan Spieth doesn't. So I will be hammering that matchup bet, Tyrrell Hatton over Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, love that. I've been pro Hatton and anti Spieth for a minute here now. I am pro Bacon Bets podcast. Tell us when and where we can find it.
Yeah, Bacon Bets podcast. I haven't recorded an episode for a couple weeks now.
Exclusive here on the live stream. The Bacon Bets podcast is canceled.
No, it's not. I take a little break after March Madness because I bet on every single NFL game and then I bet on every single March Madness game, and I need to take a step back and have a breather. So you can still check it out though in my golf show, Green on the Greens, which I did just an hour and a half ago. If you want the rest of my picks for the PGA Championship, and then all my written work over fansided.com/betsided.
Check him out. It is Iain MacMillan. Ian, thanks for hopping on. We'll get you on one more time closer to the Cup or throughout the Cup in the NBA Finals. Thanks for hopping on, buddy.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye, buddy. Let's bring in our guy Chris here to talk a little hoops after some good golf insight there from Iain MacMillan. Chris Walder here at Walder Sports on X, as you can see. Fresh fade.
I did it again. Did you see that?
That's the Chris Walder effect, man. That's the Chris Walder effect.
It's all magic, buddy.
Any takeaways from last night, Chris?
Yeah, spread bets suck because both games just blew it for me in the end. Because look, the Boston Celtics should have decimated the Cleveland Cavaliers without Donovan Mitchell, without Jared Allen, literally their 2 top scorers throughout the postseason. And then it came down to the wire, which was kind of ridiculous. Again, proves my point that you cannot trust the Celtics, even if they do get to the NBA Finals, which is essentially a cakewalk at this point. And then the second game, it was looking good. The spread was only 1 point. The Dallas Mavericks, the 1 point favorite, and they were killing it for most of the game until they blew it in the fourth quarter, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was getting to the rim at will. I thought that was easy money as well. So, again, sports betting, the highs and lows, they fluctuate constantly, and it hits you in the heart when it doesn't connect.
NBA has been exceedingly tough in the second round. Yeah. Just when we thought we knew what was happening, all of a sudden, and I mean, the two series at the forefront are what we're about to talk about, but it zigs when we want to zag. Let's talk about the East. Pacers, Knicks. Of course, we're not at a 2. You talked about a 1-point spread. We got another one here. Knicks -1 on their home floor. Total of 217.5. Either side of that, -110. Knicks win games 1 and 2. Pacers battle back to win 3 and 4. Obi Toppin is sitting at 8.5 tonight. You know how much I love him. Over is -115. This guy has eclipsed 8.5 in every playoff game, bar 2 so far, and he had 14 last time out on the floor, by the way. Total peaked at 220.5 for game 3. We went down to 218.5 for game 4, and we're even lower now. We all know how shorthanded the Knicks are, the injuries that this team has suffered, the minutes that their best players are playing. Fatigue has set in, as I predicted. OG, of course, questionable for this one. Such a big miss for the Knicks team. Chris, what is the play here?
Is there anything else you want to add while you're at it, Ninja? You kind of ran through the card there with all the injuries, and it's decimated the series. Like this was just to double check. I just want to make sure. But yeah, this, like, from a sheer basketball perspective, this was one of my favorite series entering it. And early on, it looked like it was going to maintain that. But again, these injuries, especially on the Knicks front with OG Anunoby, I think his departure has been the biggest blow to that team. On top of all the other injuries, like Julius Randle, who never played, Mitchell Robinson, who's out, Bogdanovich off the bench. Like, the Knicks are running their skeleton crew right now. And the players that they do have out there are going to be skeletons if they continuously play 48 minutes. So it's almost a good thing that they got blown out in game 4 because they finally got a little bit of rest. Although some of their starters were playing still into the fourth quarter, down 30, 40 points. So a Tom Thibodeau staple, strap an oxygen tank to your stars and see what happens. But obviously it didn't pan out in game 4. Just based on my experience last night with the spread, I am avoiding that at all costs, especially in a series like this where nothing is for sure, especially with the New York Knickerbockers, because, once they seem down and out, they pull off a miraculous victory, which they often do in Madison Square Garden. So the bet that I'm taking tonight, I'm going the over. Because in this postseason, the Knicks have gone over 4 out of 5 times at MSG. So a nice trend to follow there. Also, whenever the Knicks lose a game by 30 points, dating back to January 2021, the next game they've hit the over 4 out of 5 times, or 5 out of 6 just to be safe. So they have a history of, hey, when we get blown out, we come back and we score a ton of points. So I really like that tonight. If you're looking for some fun player props, I'm taking Pascal Siakam over 20.5 points for the Pacers at -108. Had a really good game in game 3. I think he had 26 points, which was the first time since games 1 and 2 against the Milwaukee Bucks that he hit over on 20 points. So that was his best game by far. Didn't really follow it up well in game 4, but that's because he didn't play a lot. They didn't need him to play a lot. It was a blowout, so they kept him on the bench for a majority of the second half. But he's been the best player on the road for the Indiana Pacers these playoffs. And with the series tied at 2-2, the one player on that roster with championship experience, I think he's going to come through big tonight with a big game for the Pacers. Something else, someone who I've been following over the last couple of games, plus money, I got him at +104. Over 9.5 points for Alec Burks, who has miraculously entered the Knicks rotation. He had 20 points in game 4. Again, a lot of minutes because the Knicks were getting blown out and they were running their second unit. But a stat that I liked is that Burks got to the free throw line 10 times coming off the bench, which was 3 more attempts than Jalen Brunson, who played 12 more minutes than him, even though, again, it was a blowout on the scoreboard. So Alec Burks has entered this rotation. I think he's going to continue to be a steady presence. And basically all he offers, he's kind of like the Jamal Crawford of that second unit. He's just strictly offense, not a lot of defense, but he can put up points in a hurry. So plus money at 9.5, I really like that.
Yeah, that's a real good shout with Burks. He is getting minutes, of course, out of necessity with the condition of this Knicks team. Good one there. Yeah, I like Obi Toppin again tonight. I will keep hammering that, of course. Out in the West, it's knotted at 2. Wolves at Nuggets. We've got a spread of Nugs -3.5. Total of 205.5 in this one. Just a crazy series. Wolves up 2-zip. Nugs come back to even things up. First 2 games go under. The next 2 games go over. The MVP went on an absolute mission last game. Probably his best game of the playoffs so far. Now we're back to Denver. No matter who wins, this incredible series takes another turn. Chris, what do you like here?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, just from a pure basketball perspective, whoever wins tonight is winning the series. I think this is going to be the momentum killer for either side. And it's been a fun series to watch just because, again, the home team has not won a single time. And if you were watching all of the media pundits online who were basically digging the Nuggets' grave after going down 0-2 at home, only to come back and decimate the league's best defense in their backyard at Target Center. Never underestimate the heart of a champion. The Denver Nuggets are still the reigning and defending champions until proven otherwise. And now they get to go back home to Ball Arena tonight with all of the momentum in the world. I am going with an over-under bet. I took the under on 205.5 points just because throughout the postseason, they have gone under every single time on their home court. And I think that's going to continue tonight simply because Minnesota was playing its best defense in those first two games on the road. It was only when they went back home with everyone kissing their behinds and praising them, saying that this series is over, that they started to take their foot off the gas. And that's when Denver got back into this series. So I think we are going to see the best of Minnesota's defense tonight. I don't necessarily say that that's going to lead to a victory for them, but I think they are going to put forward a lot better effort than we saw in games 3 and 4. And again, the trend being that the Nuggets have gone under every single playoff game. There's no reason to think at this time that that's going to be any different. I see Kelsey in the chat here. Michael Porter Jr. goes off tonight. Yeah, he only had 4 points in the last game, and Denver still destroyed Minnesota. So as part of my same game parlay on oddshark.com, you should be checking that every day. I did have him going the over on 15.5 points tonight. I think he gets more incorporated into the offense. These Aaron Gordon performances are very few and far between. He barely missed a shot. I think he missed his first shot in the fourth quarter in game 4. I don't necessarily see that carrying over tonight. I think Porter Jr. is going to light up Minnesota with his three-point shot. Always seems to play better and shoot better at home. So I do like taking the over there. Another one that I've been kind of tailing for most part is Mike Conley assists. I had it at plus money, which was plus 104 as well, over 6.5 points. Now he's only got 6.5 assists, excuse me. So he's only got over 6.5 assists twice in this series, but he's got it over three times in the opening round against the Phoenix Suns. And something that I was a little bit worrisome of, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, is that with Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench, the head coach of Minnesota might want to go more defense with that second unit to throw at Jamal Murray. But Jamal Murray looks healthy now, and the defense didn't seem to phase him on the road. So Mike Conley is still going to get a steady dose of minutes. He is their leading assist getter, and I do like that at plus money, 6.5 assists later tonight.
Yeah, love that one for Conley there, making the Timberwolves tick on offense from the point guard perspective. Let's go around the horn real quick before we sign off. Give me your best bets, the bets you have the most conviction in. Me, of course, Obi Toppin over 8.5.
Obi Proppin.
Obi Proppin. That one's going to stick, man. Obi Proppin 2024. Let's make that stick. Obi Toppin over 8.5 points, Gav. What's your favorite bet on the ice tonight?
I'm just going to go Evander Kane. And one of the big reasons, I'm really confident in this, but we got to find out what Ian's was. We got to get him in that parlay graphic. But yeah, I love Evander Kane tonight. Playing with Draisaitl again on the second line. They're not going to be playing the McDavid, Hyman, Draisaitl line for 29 minutes again. Yes, we might see them double shifted a bit if they need to score some goals. But seeing how Kane has played with Draisaitl on the pass, I'm really confident at that number.
What about you, Chris? What is your favorite? If you could make only one bet tonight, what is it?
Yeah, I'm taking the over for the Knicks and the Pacers. I think it's going to be a barn burner in Game 5. I mean, the more this series progresses, with the exception of Game 4, which I think was just the Knicks' tired legs kind of giving out, this has been offense, offense, offense. And the absence of OG Anunoby, who is kind of the main guy going at Pascal Siakam, 2 former Raptors, it breaks my heart. It's basically just going to be a run-and-gun, fast-paced affair. I think there's going to be a lot of points. And not only is it going to go over, I think it's easily going to break it.
Shout out to Iain MacMillan for hopping on here tonight to break down a little puck, a little PGA Championship from Valhalla. And guys, thanks for hopping on, talking puck, talking NBA, whatever you folks do with your bets. Best of luck. Thanks for watching. And we'll be back here, 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, Wednesday, to do it all over again. See you then.
See you guys.
Obi Proppin.